The East African tradition of the Maasai tribe is to greet one another with the words Kasirian Ngera, which is Swahili for, so how are the children? In that community, the well-being of their children is the highest priority. If you are interested in participating in thought-provoking conversations about the well-being of children and families, please tune in every Wednesday at 3 p.m. to Fresh Start Today on 860 AM WNOV. Together, we can save our children.
Good afternoon. You're listening to Fresh Start Today. I'm your host, Jermaine Reed, and we have some great folks in the studio with us today. We have attorney Tarina Franklin. Good afternoon, Attorney Franklin.
Good afternoon, Mr. Reed.
It's been a while since I've seen you. You brought all that glory and radiance into the room. Thank you very much. It's kind of gloomy outside.
It's kind of gloomy, but I bring the shine.
Yeah,
I'm
you
ready
bring
to
the shine. Yeah, this we'll call her Sunshine. This is Attorney Sunshine.
Hello.
What was the guy from what was that? Harlem Nights. No, the Caucasian brother.
Oh yeah, I ain't never coming home.
Yeah, I ain't never coming home.
Hey, put your mother on the phone.
Put your mama on the phone. I forget what his name was, but we got Sister Sunshine in the studio today. Then we have our friend, Mr. Alexander James. He was with us last week, and, you know, he has a phenomenal story. He actually brought us some, what you bring us today?
Brought some brownies and some chocolate-covered strawberries there.
Some brownies. And now, you know, I'm not a chocolate person, but I'm going to try some of these chocolate. You got mine? These chocolate-covered strawberries. So, yeah, so we're going to sample those out and see how they make us feel on the inside. You know, you got to be careful with chocolate, you know. But anyway, we got Mr. Roby. Mr. Roby, you know, he's the co-host here. So how you doing, Mr. Roby?
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon. Yeah, and then certainly we have the best engineer in the city with us today, Mr. Keon Malone. How you doing, Keon?
I'm great, fantastic.
Oh, you great? Okay, great. So we're going to be in the courtroom today with attorney Tarina Franklin. She has worked in so many different capacities in the area of law, and she will introduce herself and talk a little bit about her legal background, and she's homegrown. Let me ask you something. What zip code did you grow up in?
I grew up in 53216, so right off of 55th and Roosevelt.
Okay. You want
by via Brown Deer. Through
via
sixth grade.
Oh, watch out now.
Watch out.
You're bougie. You know, come up.
Brown Deer.
Brown Deer.
You know, well, we 06 babies and 12 babies and 08s and 10. You know, that's okay, Sunshine.
I kind of, you know, migrated towards those zip codes through high school.
Okay, because we got doctors and lawyers coming out of the 06 zip code
Absolutely.
as well. So it's good to have a neighboring friend in the studio. But yeah, so tell us a little bit about, well, let me announce this. Well, we have the Black Child Development Institute. They have their 9th annual Shining Star celebration on May the 19th, which is a Thursday at 5 p.m. will be hors d'oeuvres. You don't always pronounce that word wrong. It looks different, but hors d'oeuvres and networking. And then at 6 p.m., there'll be a program. This is going to be held at the Grace Center, 250 East Juneau Avenue, a great facility. And if you want to learn a little bit more about this particular event, you can call 855-653-2234. 855-653-2234. Again, that's the 9th annual Shining Stars that the Black Child Development Institute is hosting. Now, everybody should know that one of the most important child welfare conference, if not the most important child welfare conference, is coming to Milwaukee in less than 2 weeks, May the 17th at the Crown Plaza Hotel. You don't want to miss the color of child welfare. Why is that conference so important to the folks who are listening to WNOV, Wisconsin Negro's own voice? I just learned that's what that stands for. Did you know that?
I really didn't.
Wisconsin's Negro own voice. That's what I'm talking about. That's why I need to be behind this microphone. I got a voice. I got something to say, something to share with the people.
Say it with your
about
chest.
What's going on in child welfare. Well, that's what we're going to talk about on the 17th of May. We have some phenomenal speakers. I'm going to play, Brother Keon, he's going to play a clip from one of our featured speakers, the legendary Jane Elliott. I just called this lady, and this is how she answered the phone. Hello, I'm busy. Call me back later. Call me back in an hour. Thank you. Bye. There was no, hey, this is Jermaine. It was, I'm busy. Talk to you later. Call me in an hour. Click. But I love her, and so we're going to play this little brief clip. She's going to be at the Colored Child Welfare Conference 2016.
White person in this room who would be happy to be treated as this society in general treats our citizens, our black citizens. If you, as a white person, would be happy to receive the same treatment that our black citizens do in this society, please stand. You didn't understand the directions. If you white folks want to be treated the way blacks are in this society, stand. Nobody's standing here. That says very plainly that you know what's happening. You know you don't want it for you. I want to know why you're so willing to accept it or to allow it to happen for others.
Mind watching it. Do you feel guilty about being white?
Not at all. I didn't choose it. I can't lose it. Why would I feel guilty about it?
Do you think there are things white people should feel guilty about? All white people should feel guilty about?
Behaviors. White behaviors. Yes. But I don't think you do those things because you're white. I think you do those things because you're ignorant.
So you're conditioned to do these things?
Absolutely.
To be racist?
Absolutely. And it works. The conditioning is working. Has worked for a very long time.
Do you think all white people are racist?
I think if you graduated from high school and you aren't a racist, you weren't listening. You should have gotten an F in social studies.
So that's a yes. All white people are racist.
We are conditioned to the myth of white superiority from the moment of in fact, before birth. We are conditioned to the myth of white superiority.
Some people who watched these events today they'll have this interpretation of it, and just bear me out on it, that you met these people, you brutalized them to some extent, you were very hard on them, you made them insecure, you made them question all sorts of things about themselves.
Did you ever see a lynching?
Obviously not.
Of course you did. Would you like to?
Let's stick with the tradition of me asking the questions.
No, let's stick with this. What I do looks brutal to white people because that isn't something they have to live with all day, every day.
But you know the accusation. The accusation is you're manipulating them.
Of course I am.
And that's wrong. You're playing with their feelings.
Yes, and it's wrong when it's done on a grand scale in society. It's even more wrong, but we do it all the time.
You've been doing this for more than 4 decades.
Yeah?
What do you think people are going to say the legacy of Jane Elliott is?
Don't care.
You must care. You've
care.
been doing this to change behavior and make the world a better place. You must care.
Don't care. What people say about me is of little importance to me. Did I make a difference today? Did I make a difference today? Did I make a positive difference today in the area of racism? And that's what I want to do.
There you have it. That's Miss Jane Elliott, the legendary Jane Elliott. And to her credit, most folks in behavioral health, social science, and also in the corporate world, they credit her with being the inventor of what folks refer to today as diversity training. So she's rough. And so if you want to win a free registration to the Colored Child Welfare to experience not just the conference itself, but Jane Elliott, I want you to be caller number 5. Caller number 5 by 414-444-5250. 414-444-5250. So May is National Asthma Month, Stroke Mental Health, but it's also National Foster Care Month. And that's really important because when we look at there's a lot of folks who are in foster care from different racial backgrounds, but we do know as it relates to Milwaukee County, I want you to think about this. I'm going to put a quiz out there because I want to know how many of the foster care community is represented by black folks in Milwaukee County. What percentage of the local foster care population do black kids make up? And so we'll throw that question out there a little bit later, but right now we're doing caller number 5 for winning a free registration to the Colored Child Welfare Conference. And then also, too, I'm tired, but we're going to keep this training moving. Okay, so we're talking about courtroom etiquette, engagement, and understanding the judicial system involving child welfare services, courtroom etiquette. And hopefully by the end of this discussion, we'll be able to identify a couple of things. One is ways to assist parents and caregivers when working with attorneys and the legal process, what we can or should not do when preparing ourselves and youth for court, effective strategies on engaging or removing attorneys and judges from your case, if there is a conflict, but also understanding legal terms associated with the court process. We have caller number 5 on Fresh Start today. Good afternoon, caller.
Good afternoon.
Are you there, caller?
Yes, I am.
Okay, can you speak up?
Yes, hi.
Hi.
I was looking for your tickets for the winner.
Yes, you did win tickets with Kathy. Oh, shh. Okay, we'll be in contact with you, Kathy. Leave your name and your number. Okay, congratulations.
Okay, I'll hold on.
Okay. So we're going to identify some of these things. Now, we understand that at some point in time, most folks have had an experience with the court system. And some folks, I wish Jane Ellie was like, I can feel her spirit here. Some folks probably fare a lot better dealing with government systems than other groups of folks. You know, I mean, let's be honest. We're having green beans, cornbread, and we're going to throw in a little side chicken and some oxtail soup. You know, we're just going to have a real honest dialogue and conversation.
Right.
I think overall, black folks' experience with judicial systems, government systems, look totally different than Native American experiences, Latino experiences, and Caucasian experiences. And, you know, we don't really want to talk about these things, but it's the truth.
Right.
So when we look at this, you know, we want to be able to give particularly young folks who get caught up on the juvenile side of things, you know, but also fathers and mothers. You know, this is Mother's Day coming up real soon. Sure. We celebrate mothers, you know, but there's a lot of mothers, you know, who are involved with the court system, you know, via child welfare. And so when we talk about these things, Attorney Franklin, in your opinion, do you think, or what you have seen, do you see that there is a difference in terms of how the court system deals with defendants based on their race or their gender? What have you seen?
Thank you. Just to kind of piggyback what I picked up on when Ms. Jane Elliott made this statement, it's wrong when it's done on a grand scale of society. Obviously, the "it's" is referring to the racism. So just continuing that dialogue and being a practicing attorney here in Milwaukee for the past 18 years, it's clearly a wrong when it's done on a grand scale in the court system. Specifically, the counties that I've serviced, Milwaukee County primarily, the suburban counties, Ozaukee, Waukesha, Dane County, and Madison, there is a difference in each courtroom, of course, and it's a difference with regards to how the judicial system acknowledges individual defendants. But I would like to say that what I've discovered in my past 18 years of primarily practicing in child welfare and in family law is it is unfortunate when the courts, by looking at a person's last name, I've discovered that to be problematic, and in anticipation of what that defendant may be by association with that last name, your Hernandez, your Johnsons, your Jones, or even looking at the first names, your Latrices, your Lakitas, your DeMontes. You know, I have personally observed a distinction with the overall courtroom system, be it from child welfare as it relates to defendants, how they are addressed in courts. I've been in numerous cases myself where the judge clearly knows from the docket sheet the individual's name and they mispronunciate the names. And that's already sending red flags
Is
to
that microaggression? Microaggression, you know, because you've had the docket, you know all the dynamics about this particular case, who this individual is, and then you stumble all over their word and just slaughter it.
And I would agree, and I agree, and I think that makes the defendant, and I don't really like to use the defendant because that's kind of
has a negative connotation.
That's a negative connotation of itself. But the person that's in front of the court who's basically analyzing your case, that's already making them feel more inferior than they need to feel. So it is an issue with blatant racism as well as implied racism.
Well, let me ask you this, because over your 18 years of practicing law in the state of Wisconsin, now, you know, there's rumor out here that Wisconsin is one of the most racist places in the country, segregated places in the country. When you receive cases, do you have to prepare differently based on whether this person is Latino, whether this person is African-American, whether this is a male versus a female, because of how the court systems have, in some cases, responded to those individuals?
Oh, Oh, most definitely. I mean, if we're, like you said, keeping it real, keeping it 100 today, oh, God, yes. If I get a case with, more association with a Caucasian last name or a Hispanic last name or an African-American last name.
Do you feel like you have to do less work in those cases?
It's not necessarily that I have to do less work. It's just a different strategy and a different approach. I mean, I give all of my clients 150%.
Right.
Anyone that really knows me personally
But there are going to be
professionally.
some additional layers or barriers that you're going to have to break through in order to get justice for your client if they are associated with a particular racial background.
That I would agree. It's not that I do less work, I do more work for those people with those certain last names or those certain first names. Because again, in the society we live in, and I only can say right here in Wisconsin, I have personally seen it in the courtroom, and it's an unfortunate situation. So yes, more work is expected of me as a minority attorney. And I make sure that my clients understand that, look, you are going to be treated very differently. And this is how we need to prepare you for your day in court. Because you only get one chance. You only get one opportunity to make the first impression. And
that's what we're
going
to be talking about is that first impression and giving folks some to-dos and some don't-dos when it comes to engaging, interacting with the court system, because it is different. It is different, that experience. So we're going to talk about that experience in a few minutes, and I know we're going to be taking a break, and if you'd like to join this conversation, you can call 414-444-5250, 414-444-5250. We'll be right back on the other side of this break.
In studio with breaking news. Black children are flooding the local foster care system. Infant boys and girls coming straight out the womb, which means you probably have a black child in foster care, you are a black child in foster care, you're related to a black child in foster care, or you may even be a case manager or service provider for a black child in foster care. If so, then you don't want to miss the Color of Child Welfare Conference on May 17th. Fresh Start Family Services will host the only conference in the state that convenes to strictly focus on the needs of black children in foster care. This year's theme is Against All Odds, from foster care to success. There will be national and local presenters like judges, authors, educators, politicians, and journalists who were formerly in foster care, and many others. Some of the workshop titles include Black Children's Journey in Foster Care, From Total Exclusion to Over-Inclusion, Psychotropic Drug Dependency in Black Children, Black Single Mothers and the Child Welfare System. There's so much to talk about. To join the conversation, register today for the Color Child Welfare Conference and Recruitment Fair on May 17th. Call 414-351-1100. That's 351-1100. Limited seats available. This is Jermaine signing off from Fresh Start WBCM, Wisconsin Black Children Matter. Back to you.
We're back on the Fresh Start Today show, and we just had our friend of the program walk in, Dr. Ramel Smith. How you doing, Blacksmith?
It's on. I'm happy to be a part of this conversation.
He's an 06 baby. He's an 06 baby, but he was talking about he was hanging in another zip code. I don't know if he's legit. You a legitimate 06 baby?
I was more 06 than anybody up in here because my mama lived in one place, my grandmama lived in one place, my daddy lived in another place, and I lived in all them houses.
I think those are grounds. Definitely grounds. Yep.
That's what we call the village right there. Yeah. So you know what? We just want to say, Tupac mama died. What that got to do with something? It got a whole lot to do because Tupac was a genius. We got money for war, but we can't feed the poor.
Yeah.
That's some real basic, but powerful, profound truth. So rest in peace, brother Tupac. You've been reunited with your mama. They tell me that your stepdaddy died the other day, and your auntie over there in Cuba somewhere, and I just hope she's going to be all right. But we're going to go back to this conversation regarding courtroom etiquette and the experience that folks have with the courts that sometimes we believe, and from what some folk have experienced, can be based on their racial composition, and also to gender bias. It's funny because I was talking to a very prominent person in the court system just 2 days ago, and I had inquired about services for fathers, if there's any type of work groups or projects that was really trying to bridge the gap or heal the relationship between fathers and the court system. And this prominent person didn't know what I was talking about. Like, there was no problem with, men in the court system. And I know for a fact, because this was my attorney, and she still is my attorney Sunshine. She's my attorney. And we were going in the court I was trying to get visitation rights and what else I was trying to get? Placement. I was just trying to be heard. And the judge wasn't doing right by me. And I was sitting here waiting for the attorney to speak up, and I kept nudging her and telling her what I needed to say. And I didn't have any training in courtroom etiquette. I'm from 53206, 3174 North 11th Street. So what I did was, she wasn't speaking up fast enough, so I spoke up. And the judge told Attorney Franklin that she needed to get her client settle her client down.
And you know what? And I think with that, and I hate to just jump in
Go
on the
ahead.
story, but it's so passionate that Attorney Franklin mentioned earlier inferiorness or that inferiority when you
And
go
that's
into the
how I felt.
courtroom, and then for the judge to speak not to you but to your
Just-
attorney.
yes, just over-
discount
right.
everything that you said.
And so I think that relationship that the attorney has with the judge looks different.
Right.
We're going to have her speak to that.
Right.
But also the client, or we don't want to say defendant, but I was defending my honor. I was defending my relationship with my child. And that was important to me. And I couldn't be in this system and where they were just going to dismiss my role and who I was.
Wow.
So I spoke up. And when I spoke up, he talking about he was going to hold me in contempt. And Attorney Tarina Franklin, she's Attorney Sunshine, Attorney Tarina Franklin. And so I told him there was not going to be any judicial lynching of black men in the courtroom today. I had to speak up.
That's powerful.
And then he said, we're going to hold him in contempt. And I said, well, what's contempt? They said, he's going to put you in jail. I got real quiet.
You ain't from 06.
Oh, he's not really on from 06.
I ain't
running on 06.
I ain't really from 06.
Because you know what? If I can just share a story, because I make no secrets about my past and whatnot like that. And I remember being in the courtroom, and the judge looked at me, and I'm thinking like, I just graduated from college. I'm thinking like,
Wow.
you're not gonna treat me like like I'm like inferior. Like I said, I have some credentials behind me, and the man looked at me. And when I talked to my probation officer afterwards, he was like, "You probably would have got like a disorderly conduct ticket." He said, "But because you opened your mouth, you became that smart end." And so that's also, just the opposite
That's
side. So
threatening.
sometimes
Yeah.
it's not
That's
about
deep.
coming in as ignorant, but then when you come in and you kind of puff your chest out like, hey, you know what?
I'm somebody.
It's not going to be a high-tech lynch in here. I do understand I have some right. It's another way to say, hey, listen, what Malcolm X said, PhD, whatever, you still an N. And it's a way-
NIGGA,
and I'm
yeah.
not saying it's just that. I think it's from a judicial standpoint, it's a level of I guess the best word I could just really use is arrogance, saying, hey, this is my setting, this is
Right.
my scene. And if you disrespect anyway, it's like what the teachers say, whoever got the pen win, say, I got the last laugh, I got the last thing. So if you don't have the type of etiquette, do the things that I say to do, then it's probably not going to go in your favor. Because you can see a lot of times where judges are looking a different way. Somebody says something, and just the whole movement sways, and you can feel it just like a momentum swing in a baseball or basketball game.
Yeah.
That's so true. That is so true. Dr. Smith is exactly right. Be it from your low-educated person to your person with the PhD. I mean, I've
It
seen
doesn't matter.
It really
I mean,
doesn't matter,
it
and that's
does-
why you need to have proper legal representation. I cannot stress that enough. Our people think for some reason that they can just go in there and tell their story, and then, like I always tell my people, do not get diarrhea at the mouth, because what you say will be turned and used against you.
In
You
a court of law.
need
In a
to
court of
have legal representation. You need to have.
So you shouldn't
legal
go in there. Wait.
representation.
So you ain't been to nobody law school, but now you want to be Johnny Cochran.
Thank you.
And represent yourself. So you advise them, whatever, regardless of whatever the case is, that they really need to get an experienced lawyer. But sometimes the client and lawyer relationship doesn't go well.
And that's true. And, and that's why we have options. Just like anything else in life. You have the option to get a different lawyer. It may not
How?
be
How?
a match.
How does that look?
It
How does
doesn't
that
look
work?
bad.
And child welfare. If they just took my kid from my ex-sweetheart's custody,
Correct.
and they're overlooking me,
Right.
but I want to get my kid, how does that look? Or let's just say they took the kid from me, and so now I need to figure out, I don't like Attorney Franklin, so what do I need to do?
Well, it depends which courtroom you're in. If you're talking in child welfare, that's making a reference to our juvenile system. And by law, in the juvenile court system out here in Milwaukee, Watertown, Planking Road, they have to appoint you
An advocate,
an
parent advocate
intake
attorney.
an
Okay.
intake attorney. There, the parent loses a slight control because if you're found indigent, they're going to appoint you intake attorney. If you don't get along well with that attorney, you can make a request to the courts. And in all honesty, most of the judges out in children court are pretty fair. If it's a valid request, they'll give you another intake
Well, there's a
attorney.
rotation. Now,
There
you know
is
there's a rotation, so depending on what rotation you're on.
Well, that's true. And that's
Yeah.
true. But absent that, I mean, you're still entitled to retain private counsel. And a lot of people think, just like with the difference between private representation and public defender representation, as
Right.
we like to say, the public pretenders.
Okay.
You're when you pay, you're more willing to invest. So I think that whole understanding goes with that logic too. Not to take anything away from my public defenders.
I got you.
I have
because
some great
I hear that.
public defender attorney friends here.
Yeah, and-
Alexis Liggins, hi. So
you know what?
anyway, I'm telling you, seriously, what we get back to is the original concept, courtroom etiquette. Courtroom etiquette basically means that as soon as your case is called, you understand it is necessary to present your best face forward.
How? Give us some examples. If I want to present my best face, and just say I'm just looking really ruggish, I got a lot going on.
No.
What would you say to me? And when I walk in your office, what would you say, Jermaine? What?
I'm calling a barber for you.
Okay.
We can go. It's not Capitol Court anymore. What is it called? Midtown.
Midtown.
We
Oh,
gonna go over to
see,
Midtown.
you've been gone for 1-6 a while. I see.
long.
You ain't legitimate.
Yeah, always. We're going to go get you a little cute outfit.
Okay.
You're going to be ready.
Now,
My
is that
client-
Now, when
important?
you say a cute outfit,
Can you
Oh.
go too far on the other end?
No, not necessarily. I don't think. But again, that's what you're paying for. You're paying for your attorney to know your judge. Me, in
know the
preparation
judge.
of my cases, as soon as you write that check out to me, credit card swipe, I'm on the phone. I'm calling. Who is our judge? I'm calling to see what day do we have in court. Who is our court commissioner? Because you need to know. You need to know who we're going to be prepared to meet. Not to say, judges are supposed to be unbiased. Because,
Right.
No, they are. Because
But
you
then-
know by
but
the
do
time
you-
the judge
human.
is how it's going to go. Because like you
There
said,
you go.
I know if this person's pro-man or they're pro-woman. Because of their
exactly.
history, you
That's
know
true.
generally how they
Now, if
feel.
folks want to join this conversation, they can call 414-444-5250 because this still is a training. We're trying to help folk know what to do and how to engage the court system. That's both on the juvenile side as well as the criminal side, the court side, whatever, family court side. 414-444-5250. You can call right now. You mentioned something about the credit card swipe. There's so many different ways that you can pay your attorney for legal fees, but you said once you get payment, you start the process. You get engaged. You jump right in with both feet. But there are some folks who don't have a lot of money. Do you think that sometimes folks just think that, they're supposed to get free legal representation, but under the paid?
And that's true. And we have some great societies out there. Legal Aid Society,
Of
Central
Milwaukee.
Legal, of Milwaukee.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they do wonderful jobs over there. I'm not
So say again, what is it?
the Legal Aid Society,
Right, and then Central
Legal.
Legal.
Yeah, exactly. And
Now,
and-
Central Legal would assist you with writing the paperwork, but they won't completing paperwork and filing court records, right? They won't represent you
No,
for
they
free.
do. What I understand Central Legal does, they do it per court appearance as opposed to a hefty deposit in the front. So, there are
Because a lot of us
options
don't have,
available.
some of us don't have the money to go get a haircut, let alone to buy new outfits, suits, shoes,
Right.
whatever, and then to pay a retainer fee of $1,500. But yet we're dealing with our kids, And the thing about child welfare is that, folks are not losing. It's not your car that's being repossessed or your home or, those kind of things that can be replaced. We're talking about folks who are losing their children.
lineage.
You
Yeah,
know,
absolutely.
but yet I don't have the resources or the means to fix myself up, and does that really make a difference at the end of the day if you're an African-American father who's going into the court system downtown or on Watertown Plank Road? We were talking about a case the other day with a father who had some parking tickets or something.
Right.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
I was involved in a case where the mother, she was on heroin, non-minority, we'll just say that, non-minority mother, father minority, mother's on heroin, child is taken from mother, father is in jail simply because of unpaid parking tickets, and we were hired, our office was hired to represent him, to assist him in getting the child back, and it was just a very difficult situation. Non-minority mother, strung out on heroin, father in custody simply for the purpose of unpaid parking tickets. And in that particular case, it was just horrible. They treated him as if he was the maltreater because the child
was in foster care.
And they put him through all kind of shenanigans to basically get his child back when the incident occurred, the child wasn't even in his care and custody and control.
Now you see, now we got to talk. Now this is green beans and cornbread with a little piece of, what you want to say? What we going to throw on the side? A little sweet potato pie.
Yeah,
So,
sweet potato
a little
pie.
sweet potato pie.
Sweet yams,
Now,
okay.
because this is getting real sweet and good to me. Now, would it have made a difference if this particular father would have gotten a haircut, purchased an Armani suit, or had a tailor-made suit, came in with some Christian Louboutins? Would it have made a difference?
And again, like you said, it's for your attorney to know your judge and know your audience. And in that situation, I knew the judge. I knew how the judge was going to look to this case. I knew who the OCM, the ongoing case manager, was. So we were able to effectively work together, but that was because
Right.
an established rapport had been built.
But if you
between-
didn't have that relationship with the judge,
Right.
So you're telling me that the relationship that attorneys have with particular judges can influence the outcome or how a case moves along.
I wouldn't say influence, obviously, as an attorney.
As an attorney, you can't say that, but there is some advantage to knowing the little man in the black robe. Now, if you don't know the little man in the black robe,
Right.
Or woman.
or woman,
Thank you. In honor of Mother's Day.
okay, some evil.
I would just simply say it definitely makes a difference.
It makes a difference.
It makes a huge difference to know your judge and to have established those relationships. Wouldn't the judge, the bailiff, the court reporter? Because at the end of the day...
Well, we just need to go hang out there at Children's Court Center then. Take your lunch bag, go down there and try to get to know everybody. But listen, caller number 5, if you would like, we want to give folks another opportunity to win a ticket to a registration to the Colored Child Welfare Conference. Caller number 5, you can win a free registration by calling 414-444-5250. You know the number, 414-444-5250.
And you know, while you're doing that, I think Attorney Franklin, to add to that, I've heard, and it's a term where, or a phrase where, good attorneys know the law, but great attorneys know the judge.
That's so true.
See, but I don't think that's fair. I don't think that's to me is not a fair equal
It's
system.
funny because I wrote this poem one time, and one of the lines I put in there said, if you expect life to be fair, then you're an easy person to defeat, because life is not fair. And so you just got to understand that. It's like,
I know
it's not
unfairness.
right. It's not right, but it is what it is. So you have to understand that, and with that knowledge, you're forewarned, you're forearmed. So you attack it in that manner.
Right.
And I think that speaks to when you ultimately have that first conversation with your attorney, and it helps to have some type of dialogue prior to the day of court.
And that's true. And just following up with that, Mr. Roby, I'd like to say, as we were preparing for when I was in law school, one of my best criminal evidence teachers told me a good attorney ends up in trial. A great attorney knows how to stay out of trial. And I took that for what it's worth. And that basically goes to just what you said. Knowing your clients, getting actively involved as soon as you receive that case, talking to all the necessary parties. Mm-hmm. So when you do have your day in court, you don't give that opportunity to the judges to decide your fate. You have already resolved your client's issues, fair to the whole overall process. That's the distinction between a good attorney and a great attorney. I'm not saying litigators are not worthwhile, but honest to God, especially in family law, juvenile law, a lot of this stuff is through negotiations, mediations, arbitration, and settlements.
Outside of the courtroom.
And I was going to talk about the judge's chamber and things, how important, what happens in the judge's chamber. But before we go there, Attorney Tarina Sunshine Franklin, just a minute. Because you said something so important, and I forget what it was, because you're just blazing in here, and it's just so bright, make me lose my train of thought. Yeah. But when you talk about, caller, you're on Fresh Start today. I'm thinking, winner. We got a winner. Good afternoon, winner. How you doing?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm doing great. What's your name?
Melissa.
Good afternoon, Melissa. Is this your first time listening to Fresh Start today?
Well, I listen to it off and on. You know, I don't get it on my radio at work. So by the time I get home, you all are going off the air.
Well, you know what? You can always go on YouTube and punch in Fresh Start Today, and you'll see a library of recordings that we have for those individuals who can't pick it up on their radio and have to listen to it at a different time. But, Melissa, we're going to get your information. Thank you for tuning into the show, and we look forward to seeing you at the Color a Child Welfare Conference.
Oh, that sounds great. Thank you very much. I've been trying to win for about a week.
All right. So if you can hold on, we're going to get your information. And, listen, if there's folks out there who have an open case with child welfare, and you want to be in the room, not in the courtroom, not in a family team meeting, decision-making meeting, whatever, but you want to be, where everybody is somebody, we will work with you so that you can get into the Color Child Welfare Conference this year. But you have to call 414-351-1100 and ask for Teresa. 414-351-1100 and ask for Teresa. So going back to this conversation about courtroom etiquette and relationships and what goes on out off the record. See, that's what I'm talking about, off the record, because I get nervous when folks go off the record. They want to go into the judge's chamber and they leave you out in the courtroom.
Right.
how much of what happens in the judge's chamber or what's said off the record actually influences what happens on the record?
Ooh, very, very good question. Typically, when it's something that's off the record, it's because the judge doesn't want to offend the litigant that's in court. Honestly,
Really?
I believe so. I honestly believe so. I mean, there may be some procedural issues that need to be addressed that should not necessarily be on the record at that time. But remember, anything that we do off the record, the court has an obligation to come back on the record to basically touch on what was discussed off the record to put on the record, if that makes sense.
Okay.
But nevertheless, I think your overall topic, like you keep referring to, the courtroom etiquette, it is very, very important for our listening audience to understand that from the very first time they walk into that courtroom, all eyes are on them.
Okay.
Hey,
So would that be
Tupac.
all eyes on me?
All eyes on me.
Open the whole club. All eyes on me.
And you know
Now,
what?
listen.
That in itself can be very intimidating.
So
Because
with
if
young
you've never
folk-
been in a courtroom and you walk in and it's wood and it's people and it's
clean up in there.
clean
Pines.
and it's bailiff,
Yeah.
and that's
Right.
very
Pledge.
intimidating.
It is.
So what young folks need to do, don't go in the courtroom with your pants sagging. Turn off your cell phone.
Yes.
Don't be chewing gum. Don't talk real loud. Those are some basic things that can help you.
Arrive early.
Be on time, because
30,
some
45
folks
early.
run a little late. Now I ain't talking about Dr. Smith, because he was here in spirit. We're just waiting for his body to catch up with his
I
spirit.
was coming for work, so I wasn't like just messing around. Brother,
And I got here at 2:59 seconds, but I got here. But there's some things that we need to be mindful of. So timeliness, addressing the judge, Your Honor.
Addressing the judge and Your Honor. Now, some people say, I don't care. It's just how I was raised. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. I still say that to this day.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that really goes a long way. I don't even care if it's someone that's my same age group. I think it just gives that additional respect. And that honestly goes a long way. I mean, I've had my own clients sometimes say, oh, you still got that slave mentality. Look, I'm being paid by you to get you the best case resolution.
Right.
So if I need to say yes, ma'am, or yes, sir, I'm going to do that. That's just one professional courtesy, and that's how I look at it.
The judicial system in America historically has been very traumatizing.
Correct.
Toward African Americans. Oh, that's Jane Elliott calling right there. Very traumatizing. And so when we talk about respect, because sometimes I get this impression that we deify judges, and I'm one of those from 06 that bordered 1-2. So I was a mixed breed child, But my thing was, I treat everybody the same regardless of whether you have a gavel in your hand, whether you have PhD behind your name. I think everybody should be treated humanely. And if you don't respect me, it's hard for me to respect you.
Very true.
And so if I've been to several court hearings and I don't feel I'm getting justice or treated fairly, I don't have a voice, I'm not standing up when Judge Wapner walks into the room. Judy Schindler, whoever can walk into. Let's get this thing started, because it's obvious y'all done already you have a relationship with that other person's attorney, the respondent or whomever, and the cards are stacked against me. So why do I have to go in and go through all of these motions to try to get a fair day in court? That's what I'm having a hard time.
And I respect that, Jermaine, and that's a great point. But again,
I better stand up.
You need to stand up.
All 5 feet of me better stand
All
up
5
and
feet.
raise my
I
hand.
think it's a matter of winning battles or losing battles so you can win the war. That's one of those things, especially if it's for your child, something as important as that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And, I think to add to that, when you talk about your initial presentation, you don't necessarily have to have a brand new suit and a nice shiny tie or bow tie, but clean.
Right.
And be respectful.
And respectful.
So you don't want to be arguing with the judge. You don't want to be arguing with the other person's attorney. And you want to talk to the judge and not talk to everybody else. Okay, you want to say, go ahead, Sunshine. Go ahead, Sunshine.
And you're right. Why argue with your attorney?
Right.
If it comes off to the court, you and your attorney are having discord, why would the judge believe, one, anything you have to say,
Right.
let alone anything that your attorney has to say? So, that just goes, like you said, in the preparation.
Right.
Having those many, many meetings before you actually get to court and being prepared. I mean, there's cases where, unfortunately, a lot of people meet their clients 5 minutes outside of the freaking court case being called. Like, are you serious? How do you know your client's demeanor? You don't know your client's temperament. How can you honestly effectively give representation on such a severe issue as about your rights are about to be terminated?
Right.
And you don't even know Johnny from Jonathan or Jeremy from Jermaine. I mean,
Right.
that's just poor preparation.
We're going to give a Mother's Day special for the Colored Child Welfare Conference. This is a special rate for the Colored Child Welfare Conference of $65 in honor of mothers who are involved in the foster care system, $65 for the next week. So we're talking about, what is that, the 9th of, what's this month? May. The 9th of May, that you can get a free registration, which includes your lunch for $65. You can't beat that. You wouldn't believe how many folk done called me talking about how expensive the conference is. But folk get their nails done, they purple, they blue, they orange, they match their hair, they all that kind of stuff, And we spend the money, but we have to place a value on it. And listen, we are a small black-owned business in child welfare, and there's overhead. When you start bringing in national leaders like Jane Elliott and Dr. Stacy Patton and Brandy Nicole Brooks, who wrote the book Black Single Mothers in the Foster Child Welfare System, them folk ain't coming from free. They have airfare, hotel, they got to eat. There's a lot of things. And then they're going to charge me for speaking. That's what comes with the territory. So we try to bring in quality speakers, give folks a quality experience, and something that you're not going to get typically dealing with child welfare, not in these parts of the world. So you definitely want to make it a point to be at the Colored Child Welfare Conference. You can call 414-351-1100. I feel like giving caller number 5 just one last registration. I would make 3 registrations. So we had Melissa, we had our friend Kathy, and so a third person. We're waiting for them to call. Caller number 5, if you can tell me what is the percentage of black children represented in Milwaukee County's foster care system. Come on, give a stab at it. 414-444-5250. So we're talking about courtroom etiquette and what we should and what we should not do in the courtroom. We don't want to be arguing with folks, not with our attorney.
But can I ask you an attorney question? So when you see somebody like start off with all of these things like that you can't control going in, you do your hair right, you do your dress and everything like that. But then, as Jermaine said, they where they feel disrespected and you see them about to lose it. What are some clues? What are some tips you can give them to pull it back together?
Keep hope alive.
Well, what I've done, honestly, I have kicked my client under the table.
She kicked me.
I mean, like I said, at the end of the day, I don't know if it's just my personality or what. I'm a very touchy person, and I will grab them. If it becomes very obvious, I'll ask the judge.
She shook me up.
Yeah, well, I think I picked you up.
You did. I think you did.
I picked you up and take you out the courtroom.
She had to carry me up. That little man was kicking us. Wait a minute.
I had to carry Mr. Reed out the courtroom. But in all honesty, I mean, and again, that goes back to what we were saying. Like Mr. Roby was saying, knowing your client before 5 minutes before the court case is called. If you already know your client, and you being in social sciences and behavioral science, this is something you know. Yeah. You observe before you get to court.
Yeah. Right.
And then you say, look, let me talk. Let me be your mouthpiece. When I ask you a question, you answer. When the court asks you a question, keep it to yes or no.
So caller, do you have an answer?
Say it again. I got a question and an answer.
Okay, let's start with the answer first. What's the answer?
75%.
Not 75%. No, sir. What's the question?
I got a question. She's talking about etiquette and judges and someone going there. What if the judge will not reopen your case?
I'm sorry?
What if the judge won't reopen your case?
Exactly. What if you're trying to try to get DNA?
Trying to get DNA?
Okay, that really doesn't apply to
it doesn't
our
apply,
top.
so
No. Let me just say.
It doesn't apply, but you're paying child support, and you have not been adjudicated father because you have not been. Long story short is you have never taken blood tests.
Okay, I understand.
So the court just say, okay, default judgment paternity.
Right.
There we go, default judgment paternity.
Right. Well, it doesn't really relate to our topic for today, sir. However, I can kind of correlate what you're saying. The courtroom etiquette approach I would suggest to you is be respectful, file your motion,
you know what, lady, I left my phone number. Please contact me.
Okay. Thank you.
Well, see, I want folk to be respectful, whoever it is the press secretary for the White House or whomever, because, we want to engage in the conversation, give folks the opportunity to respond thoroughly, but otherwise just email. What is the percentage of black children who are in the local foster care system? Can you answer that question today? If you've been listening to the commercials, if you've been following this radio station, everybody should know, and it's important that we know that number. We just can't get comfortable with that number, something that we all have to do to reduce that number. So if you know what percentage of black children are represented in Milwaukee's foster care system, please call 414-444-5250. Now, another thing that folks can do, and I have a hard time with this, especially when I'm anxious or I'm nervous, is speak clearly, slowly, and audibly. Speak clearly, slowly, and audibly. Caller, do you have an answer?
95%.
You said 95?
Yes.
No, I hope we don't get that high.
Oh, okay.
But we're going to have to work together because the way things are running, it could very well get that high, but we're not quite there yet. Thank you for listening to Fresh Start today.
Mm-hmm.
So speak clearly, slowly, and audibly, because I think what you project to the courts, if you're going to you whispering and you shy and you timid, you know, I think that could have an impact. What do you think?
Oh, most definitely. It just goes back to what we were saying, just being prepared.
And, you know, and being prepared. Take a pen and piece of paper. Now, Jane Elliott said when you go into a learning situation, circumstance, you go prepared. Take notes. And then you can go back with your attorney and kind of review what was discussed and talk so you all can strategize. Never commit everything to memory, especially under those circumstances. Caller, you're listening to Fresh Start today. Do you have an answer?
I'm thinking 50%.
You said 50%?
Yeah.
Little bit higher. Is this your first time listening to the program?
No, but I listen all the time, but I just went blank.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Continue to listen, and I hope you can come to the Colored Child Welfare Conference. Give me a call offline, 414-351-1100. All right? So take a pen and a piece of paper, and sometimes it's good because while folks are talking, an idea will come to you. And
Let me just intervene on that, though.
Okay, talk.
It's not a great look, though.
It's not really?
It's not a great look when your attorney is trying to convey and or persuade the other side, the judge, the jury, whatever the case is, and you're writing and you're tapping your attorney on the shoulder adamantly.
Say this.
Say this.
Like I was doing.
Yeah.
I didn't realize I had a bad look because I thought.
No.
Attorney.
You
Attorney.
to calm down.
Why didn't you speak up for me?
I spoke up for you.
You did. I mean, but you weren't saying what I was whispering
exactly.
in your ear to say.
But
you know what? One
that
of the
goes
things
back, in all seriously, to what we were saying. Knowing your client. If you know going into the case that you have a client like a Jermaine Reed,
okay,
you need to be able to have client control.
Okay, caller.
Let them know not to write and disturb your argument because the judges are looking at all of that.
This is how she gonna grab my arm and stuff. Okay, caller, you on Fresh Start Day. Do you have an answer?
65%.
You're really, really close. Really close.
68.
Really close. Caller, Fresh Start Today. Do you have an answer?
Actually, I would like you to repeat the question, please.
How many black children, what is the number of black children represented in our local foster care system?
Our local foster care system is, I think, between 12 and 15%.
Oh, no, you got to multiply that at least by 5-6 times.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's what I said. Oh, wow. And so thank you for listening to the show. Caller, you on Fresh Start Today. Do you have an answer? All right, because we're about to shut this whole thing down. It's been great. But, hey, this is Jermaine calling from Wisconsin. Black Children Matter. Did you know that in Milwaukee County, 68% of those children in foster care are black? There go your answer, 68%. We're teetering right up there to 70%. But what can we do? We all can do something to reduce that number. Remember, there are mothers and fathers who are raising their kids by themselves. They're under enormous stress situations. We can work together to reduce that number. Listen, family, let's stop making these erroneous calls to Child Protective Services to get back at folks when we know they haven't done anything wrong. There's a better way for us to deal with our grievances and our problems. That can reduce 68%. If you know that there's abuse and neglect going on, do an intervention. We all can do something. But also, let's hold the system accountable. It's been great. Thank you for tuning in to Fresh Start Today. We'll be back on next week. Talk to you later. Be well, be safe. Until next time.